Units of area. When we're finding the area of a two-dimensional shape, we're finding the space that it takes up in 2 dimensions. Dimensions are at right angles to each other, as we already know. And we already know that all of our area formulae are really just shortcuts to counting the number of square units. So I've got 3 centimeters here. If I slice this shape up into 3 centimeters this way and 2 centimeters that way, you can see I have 2 lots of 3 centimeters squared, this being 1 centimeter square. It's the amount of space taken up by a square that is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. Excuse me. So this is why all our area formulae work, and why all the area formulae are based on dimensions that are at right angles to each other. We need to be able to convert between units of area, and when we do that, we're effectively having to convert the length unit twice. So if I wanted this, so this is obviously 2 times 3, which is 6 centimeters squared. If I wanted this area in millimeters squared instead, so how many square millimeters do I have? I'd have to convert this length, which is 3 times 10 to get to millimeters, and this length, which is 2 times 10 to get to millimeters. And so my area would be 3 times 10 times 2 times 10, or 3 times 2, which is 6, times 10 squared. This is how okay, and let's just get the actual answer in there. That's 600 millimeters squared. So this is done to illustrate that while the length conversion from centimeters to millimeters is times 10, the area conversion is times 10 squared, because we had to change this dimension and this dimension, and it means effectively we've multiplied the area in centimeters by the centimeter length conversion of 10 squared. That means when we come to convert units of area, the area conversion factor is the length conversion factor squared. If you think about it another way, I've divided these up not into centimeters, but into millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's no way there's 10 millimeters squared in 1 centimeter squared. That's 1 centimeter squared. This is 10 millimeters just here. This is 10 millimeters just here. That would be 100 millimeters squared. So the length conversion between centimeters and millimeters is 10, but the area conversion from centimeters squared to millimeters squared is 10 squared. So if there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, there's 1,000 squared meters squared in 1 kilometer squared. That means 1,000,000 meters squared to 1 kilometer squared, because a kilometer is 1,000 meters, and that would be a square of 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters. The area of that in meters would be 1,000 times 1,000, 1,000,000 meters squared. So there is our first area conversion. I've just popped in a little reminder that there's 10,000 meters squared in a hectare. So 1 hectare is the amount of space that you would have in a square with sides of 100 meters, because 100 times 100 is 10,000. Now I don't need to write down all the conversion factors because we get them by squaring the length conversion factor. So, convert 3.5 hectares into meters squared. We do have a conversion factor for hectares because I had to teach you that. Hectare is a unit of area. It's not anything to do with length, really. Now I'm going to show you 2 ways of showing your working for when you have to convert units of length or area or volume. One method is to write the conversion factor. 10,000 meters squared in 1 hectare. Underneath the appropriate unit, you write the value you've been given. 3.5 hectares, write it under the hectares. Then you've got to work out, am I going to be multiplying or dividing? You're probably okay to do this. Ask yourself, to go from hectares to meters squared, from 1 to 10,000, did you multiply or divide? You multiplied by 10,000. Therefore, you've got to multiply the known value in hectares by 10,000 to get 35000, did I get 10,000? 4 meters squared. So that's actually quite a supportive way of doing it if you tend not to remember about multiplying or dividing when you're thinking about just the units. Your other option, of course, is you can just reason through whether you multiply or divide. You still need your length to area conversion factor. So millimeters squared into centimeters squared. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So squaring it, 1 centimeter squared is 10 squared millimeters squared. 1 centimeter squared is 100 millimeters squared. You don't need to show this line of working if you don't want, but you do need to get your conversion factor. Then, of course, you can ask yourself, I'm going from millimeters squared into centimeters squared. A smaller unit, so there'll be a lot more of them, into a larger unit. There'll be a lot fewer of them. I will be dividing. So you can show your working like that. It is up to you if you prefer, which type of working you prefer. I really don't mind. You do need to know that you get your area conversion factor by squaring your length conversion factor.